This principle reflects the idea that leaders at Amazon are expected to take ownership of their decision and actions. My name is Holly Lee. I have been in technology industry helping FANG companies such as Amazon and Google build their engineering teams across the world. I am the founder of hollylee.co, providing my full career transition program and VIP coaching service. So today's topic, let's chat about the leadership principle number 2, ownership. This principle emphasizes responsibility and accountability for one's work and result. Ultimately, what Amazon is looking for is your bias for action in solving the problem, because a lot of people, they think and they fail their interview not knowing what and when and how, and they get so frantic. It's because you don't share how you are delivering that result that you do. So here's a quote from Amazon. Leaders act on behalf of the entire company. They think long-term and don't sacrifice long-term value for short-term results. They act on behalf of the entire company beyond just their own team. They never say, that's not my job. I don't think it's an Amazon thing. I think it's all employer. This principle reflects the idea that leaders at Amazon are expected to take ownership of their decision and actions. It promotes a sense of responsibility for the success and well-being of the entire company rather than just one own team or individual tasks. Leaders also encourage to think about long-term impact of their decision and avoid sacrificing long-term value for short-term gain. If you don't have ownership, how on earth are you going to drive for result and create a plan or an action plan to tackle the problem? So can you provide an example of a project to ask where you took ownership beyond your specific role or responsibility? This question assesses your ability to go above and beyond and take initiative to ensure the success of a project or a task. Another example of some of the few examples is, these are some of the popular ones, by the way. Describe a situation where you face setback or failure. How did you take ownership of the situation? Pause. What step did you take to address it with this question? Another question is, tell me about a time when you made a decision that required long-term prospect. How did you ensure your decision aligned with long-term goals from the organization? This question assesses your ability to think strategically and consider the broader long-term impact. And that should be in every single one of your questions and not this one. Now, think about a project where you had collaborated with multiple teams. How did you ensure that all teams were aligned and working towards the common goal? This question evaluates your ability to act on behalf of the entire organization and collaborate effectively across different teams. That's also dealing with ambiguity. Describe a situation where you identified a problem or inefficiency with a process. This also is similar to what questions? Invent and simplify. You see why I don't teach an LP in my VIP coaching? Because they're all the same. They're all the same. You just pause and listen a little bit. The answers are so similar. Now, how did you take ownership to address and improve the situation? The question assesses your proactive approach to problem solving, and continuous improvement is the key here. Have you ever been in a situation where you had prioritized conflicting tasks or projects? Now, just think about, how did you decide what priorities you take and how did you communicate this to your team or stakeholders? Because at Amazon, it's all about your internal customers, right? Delivering to your stakeholders and how you influence them. Now, this question evaluates your ability to take tough decisions, prioritize effectively, and communicate your decision to relevant parties, relevant people in collaboration. Now, can you share an example of when you mentor or coach a colleague to help them improve their performance or develop new skills? Having that in mind, by contributing to the growth and development of others, it also shows your management and leadership skills. You don't have to be a people manager to demonstrate your leadership and people skill, because good employees are really show some level of care to others. And when you do that, the greatest leaders are the one who's nominated, not the one who's really asking for it. If you are, hey, no judgment for you. Don't hate me for saying this. I'm just being very transparent here. Good leaders are ones that usually ask to step up because they have demonstrated a lot of this leadership skills in helping others. Here's another example. This is an example from one of my senior solution or principal solution architect. It's based on you making a decision or solving a problem with long-term gain and not sacrificing anything, making a short-term decision. Here it is. I'm using STAR method. The situation is, as a solution architect for ABC company, I was helping one of my largest healthcare company, I'm leaving that blank, with an upcoming enterprise network modernization technology project. My goal or the problem I'm trying to solve is to focus on 3 top priority business objectives, such as, what are they? Reducing support costs, simplifying hardware and software portfolio, and creating a single management portal to make my customers' life a lot easier as they tackle through the network. Now, your action plan. While my team wanted to upgrade the enterprise network and as-is licensing and support contract, but based on my research and learning about the vendor's enterprise agreement to simplify licensing into single agreement for an entire company as a long-term solution, I've decided and I've conducted a portal demo to my leadership, including a business case. Always come with a business case or example, or no one is going to trust you, right? Proof that it has worked before. Comparing my customer's current 3-year versus the new licensing model, and saw a big shift. I was able to help my customer free up 75% time to focus on business activities based on this change, period. That should be no more than 1 minute. That's why I'm a really big fan of carving out every single response. I'm not saying that it takes you 1 minute for the entire interview questions to be completed. What I'm saying is that in an interview process, you have to play ping pong with them. You hit the ball back and forth. It should be a 2-way communication. If the other person is the only one talking or you're the only person talking, then something is wrong with that dynamic. That's why it's always good to not speak more than a minute max, stop and allow the interviewer or the listener to ask probing questions. With which kind of questions I use STAR method? With all the interview questions, you should be using the STAR method. Just think of it this way. How do you know when you should use the STAR method? Is when you should be asking yourself, what problem are you solving for? For instance, if someone is asking you, well, tell me about yourself, don't use the STAR method. Simply just give them 2 or 3 sentences about your background. For instance, my name is Holly Lee. I am executive leadership coach who came from the FANG companies as a talent leader in the last 20 plus years. My goal is to carve out my career transition program in helping leaders find the job that they love, in return find them and build them happiness in their personal life. I was able to help over 7,000 people since 2020 when COVID started. That's it, period. That's tell me about yourself. But when you use the STAR formula, I don't care what company you're interviewing for, the STAR is magical, guys. I know that when you work with different career coaches or listen to different YouTubers, we're all saying it all different way. For me, it's really important. What are you trying to convey, which is the S? What problem are you solving for? Because the interviewer, Amazon or not, they will thank you for it. That's what the T is for task. I'm solving for, or my goal is. So you have to, and then you go down to your action plan, the famous A in the STAR, right? Especially for those who are very frantic, anxiety is kicking in, and you don't know how to start carving your problem. No problem at all. All you have to do, just read it. My action is, what did you do? What did you do to dive deep to figure out what the issues are? Well, now that you know what the issues are, how did you come up with a game plan? How did you lead and leverage that game plan of yours? How did you strategically solve the problem? And then the beautiful thing is, resulting in what? Don't give them an entire essay. Resulting in what? Earlier, I mentioned my former solution architect client 75% time, which is huge with the licensing they use. In return, it helps save costs. Saving that 75% time allowed them to focus on bringing in new businesses and solving problems for their customers and customers, right? Be well and Happy New Year.